Thank you, Catherlough. The Anti-Austerity Alliance supports any attempt on this bill to legislate for rogue crisis pregnancy agencies. And what are the purpose of these agencies? It's not to help women. The sole purpose is to prevent women from having abortions and to use any lies and intimidation that you possibly can. They're generally staffed by anti-choice volunteers, although there's a trend of late to employ medical staff, even to use things like ultrasounds, to show women ultrasounds and to try to use medical science to frighten women. And the key words that they use in the advertising of their services on the internet are things like scared, family planning, to fool people, because obviously many of the women, and probably most of the women who contact them in the first place, are seeking to get information about abortion, at least as one of the options, and if not, they've already made up their mind. And they generally pop up as the first in any search engine if you Google crisis pregnancies. So they even use terms like abortion information as a way to get clickbait and to get people to look for them. And often they locate near counselling centres, again, to fool people, using names like reproductive choices, which is obviously completely the opposite of what they stand for. And they prey on the most vulnerable women, who are the least likely to be able to pay for information or to access information. And as has been said, usually what they do is cause a delay in the woman seeking an abortion, and just leading to later abortions in many cases. Now, the stories have already been well told here tonight about the myths that they perpetuate, that abortion leads to breast cancer, leads you to abusing children in the future, and so on and so forth. So I don't think I need to spend too much time on that. Now, the Minister has agreed to support the bill, but one thing that really struck me in the course of his contribution, and I went and Googled it during the rest of the debate, the Minister tells us that there is legislation in place to actually tackle rogue crisis pregnancy agencies. He talked about the 1995, what's known as the Abortion Information Act, but its full name is Regulation of Information Services Outside the State for Termination of Pregnancies Act 1995, which was obviously brought in following the X case. And I checked it out, in Section 5B3, you can be, if you give information or counselling to anyone who's seeking information, who's pregnant, and if it's inaccurate and not objective, you can be taken to court. Well, I'd ask the Minister, why hell isn't he doing it then? If he's telling us that there's actually something on the statute, how many people have been prosecuted in the last 21 years under this Act? And I'd like him to come back and answer that, because I think it's absolutely outrageous that this has gone on for nearly a quarter of a century, and yet nothing has been done about it. Why aren't these clinics being shut down on the basis of that Act? Do we even need to have this bill? And the Minister needs to explain why that Act has not been invoked, despite him expressing concerns when this all came out and was broke by those investigative journalists. Now, obviously the glaring thing, the elephant in the room here, is that we shouldn't be meeting late tonight to discuss this in the first place, because the only reason that we're having this discussion is that we have the 8th Amendment, which bars not just abortion, but information about abortion, and makes it extremely difficult for women to get that information. And I have to just say, Deputies Collins and McGrath, I was going to say Deputies Trump, but I'm absolutely gobsmacked. They find it surprising that a woman might actually go to her doctor and not tell that she's had an abortion. What planet are they living in? It's because of people like them that women have to do that. That a woman can't be honest with her own doctor because there's a 14-year jail sentence. Abortion is a criminal offence. So loads of women don't tell doctors that they've had abortions. And I'm surprised that they're surprised about that. Now, in relation to the allegation Deputy Collins made, and he's from Cork, you would think women from Cork and Tipperary never had abortions. Of course they do. But Deputy Collins said that abortion pills without medical supervision, yeah, because women can't get medical supervision because they're illegal, precisely because of people like that. And in relation to the IFPA, I would be very surprised if the Irish Family Planning Association did tell women to tell lies to their doctors. And the reason I would say that is, my knowledge of them is that they stick very much to the letter of the law. I've actually made criticisms of them in the case of the migrant rape victim who was attending them for months for counselling. That poor girl who was effectively tortured in this country should have been given and pointed in the direction at least of safe but illegal abortion pills if she wanted to, at least told about the website, rather than, and I'm sure they didn't do that because they were afraid, so I'd be very surprised if they were giving inaccurate information. But just what I would say about the likes of Deputy McGrath, and he made this comment that lies are worse when they're told by women. I'm not sure what he meant by that. But I'll tell him the truth now. He's a sexist, backward man with an inordinate interest in women's bodies. And it really is, that is the truth, the unvarnished truth. There's something very distasteful, I have to say it in this stall tonight, about older men lecturing younger women who are generally affected by these issues in such a way. And it has to be said. Something that will not affect them ever. And yet they're judging and talking about women in this way. Now, I just want to say something about the bill and things that I think should be potentially added on. One of the things, the dangers in the bill, it's not a danger in the movers of the bill, but I hope this isn't just a way of avoiding us dealing with the whole issue of abortion and abortion information in Ireland. You know, we have to have a situation where the 8th is repealed and abortion is decriminalised fully. Because this is why women are skulking around back alleys looking for information, because they can't get it. Once abortion is criminalised, there will be a penalty attached to helping anybody get one. The other issue is, though, it's all the more disgraceful in that it's illegal to give women information about how to access a safe, legal abortion in England outside of a one-to-one counselling session. That's actually the situation in this country. And yet it's perfectly legal for religious fundamentalists, because that's effectively what they are, the ghouls who prey on women in these rogue agencies, to tell women with crisis pregnancies a complete pack of lies without no legal action being taken against them. But yet you can't give somebody information about how to access a safe abortion. I think the other thing is that could be added on in the next stage. Certainly the anti-austerity lines would move an amendment to add sex educators onto this potential list. And I'll tell you why. Because at the moment, there are agencies going into schools, such as Life Pregnancy Care, Family and Life, telling exactly the same information to young children. In the Irish Times back in 2014, an investigation found that school students were being given sex education in schools by teachers and outside agencies such as those two. And among the lessons were, students were told abortion damages a woman's internal organs, abortion destroys a woman's mental health. A woman who's had an abortion may feel she's been punished if, in later pregnancy, she suffers a miscarriage. A third piece of information, women can feel suicidal, may harm themselves after abortions. And the fourth, life begins at the moment of conception, which is not something that most people in this country believe, otherwise they wouldn't support morning after contraception. It's something that a small group of religious people believe. The most important person during pregnancy is the baby, so the woman doesn't have any regard at all. Those are things that are being taught in schools right now. So if we're going to be closing down rogue pregnancy counselling agencies, we should also be shutting down these agencies from infecting our children with this absolute nonsense, dangerous nonsense, at an age when they're very liable to be influenced and not to be able to challenge it. So I think that that's something that the Minister should consider. And just lastly, what I'd say, the Minister in his remarks said when he was talking about these agencies, our women deserve more. Our women do deserve more. They deserve to have the right to have these services in our own country and not have to be seeking them as I said, skulking around Dorset Street or wherever else, in fear, in ignorance, looking for him to repeal the 8th Amendment.
Thank you, Deputy.